Before we get into the video, if you're looking for top quality sample packs, preset packs and templates for your music production, they're entirely royalty free. You can use them in your own productions and learn from them. If you're interested, check out the link in the description and enjoy the video. What's good people, it's Lewis of bbrights and I am back with a brand new video. Today I'm going to be working on part 3 of recreating PS1's Fake Friends track from scratch. In this episode we're going to be working on the drop a bit more, working on the FM bass, adding the M1 house piano, working on the drums and stuff like that, and then working on the breakdown a little bit, and then next episode we'll finish the breakdown and then we'll move on from there. So the main thing for this episode today is working on the drop and the FM bass. So yeah, let's get straight into it. As usual, I'm going to play what I have so far to refresh everyone's memory, and we're going to get straight into it. So here we go, enjoy. So yeah, that's what we have so far. Like I said in the last episode, the FM bass we were using is just a one shot from my sample pack, and there's no sidechain or anything on it because we're going to be replacing it. But that was just a general idea, just so we can get the FM bass melody down. So obviously the melody is here. We're just going to use my preset pack and maybe some sounds from my deep house sample pack as well to create the FM bass sound. Before we get into that, we're just going to make some small minor adjustments. Obviously every time I listen through, I get some new things I want to change or make adjustments to. The main thing is this M1 piano here. It sounds a bit dullish. I'm going to just boost the high frequencies a little bit just to give it a bit more sparkle, a bit more brightness to the track. There we go. I've also listened to the Fake Friends track a little bit just to note down what I need to add and some of the details I need to add just to get the remake sounding a bit more close to the original. A lot of that stuff is in a drop with all that these small little crash effects and stuff like that. The main thing is the M1 house piano and the FM bass, which is what we're going to get to now. For the FM bass, I'm going to work on the sub bass quickly. So with a massive, I'm going to use my preset pack I use. I've got 10 presets for massive, 10 presets for serum. Yeah, so the preset we're going to be using for the sub is bass 8 preset here. It's called Sub Addiction. It's just something like this. Just going to call this sub bass. We're going to take out all the high frequencies, use it as a sub bass, probably throw a bit of R bass on there to make it a bit more powerful. Move the effect to the right a bit so we can get some space in the mixer. Organization for me is key. OCD, rhyming. So yeah, this is the sub bass. We're going to copy this MIDI here, and we're going to make a new pattern and call this drop sub bass, like that. Paste this in, and mute this one for now. Of course, we're going to need to make small adjustments because this is an actual preset sound. It's just a one shot before, so we're going to need to make some adjustments here. So I'm going to make a quick edit so I don't bore you to death, and I'll speak to you in a second. So yeah, this is what we have. We just made some small adjustments, shorten some of the notes. And yeah, I'm just going to take off the high frequencies, make a nice high cut like that. And then we're going to add on a sidechain. I usually use Kickstart for this. I always get told as well I should always use the same sidechain, but I learned from Nicky Romero to use a different sidechain preset on your sub just so it sits better with the kick. So usually I use the mids chain, the nice and tight, or the tighter depending on the preset sound. We're going to go with the mids chain. and just turn down the mix level a little bit to 90. We add this in. Of course, unmute everything else so we can hear. Like I said before, if you're not using studio headphones or studio monitors to listen to this, you might not be able to hear the sub bass. If you're listening to it on a phone speaker or regular earphones, you might not hear the sub bass, but it is there, it is playing. Of course, we're going to make a new pattern and call this FM bass, and we're going to work on the FM bass now. So we're just going to replace this one shot with, again, massive, and then we're going to go through. We can also look at serum as well, because obviously, like I said, in my preset pack I have 10 serum presets as well, but obviously massive is my go-to for deep house and FM bass synths. So one we could use is classic here. Very nice sound. And of course, we're just going to copy and paste the sub bass one. Just altering the release a little bit just to make it perfect and sit well to track. Of course, this is the main FM bass. Again, let's add an EQ, do a low cut. It's also very resonant in the 400 Hz range. This can be good, but it can also be bad depending on how it fits well your track. Every key is different. Some keys are more muddier than others. So obviously that frequency right there. Just going to dip it just a tiny bit, and we're going to boost the 1 kHz range. And for the FM bass, we're going to use the free punch preset around 80%. We'll make adjustments depending on how it fits well with the kick. The kick and bass are very important, so just got to make sure how well it sits with the kick. Usually I just do this, just solo them on both. And a trick to see if your kick and sub bass are mixing well is to add an EQ on the master, or a filter overall. I usually add an EQ and just do this and just do a high cut. You can't hear any rumbling, so they're sitting quite well together, so don't need to worry about that. Next, we're going to duplicate this FM bass. We're going to add a small layer, just to add a bit more harmonics and a bit more depth to the sound. Just going to go through again and then see what one will fit well. So for this one, I'm going to use my bass 2 preset called Winner. I'm just going to take quite a lot of the frequencies out of this one and use just the top end. So we're going to call this FM bass layer. Solo it. Very nice sound. So we're just using this frequency range here, and it's going to be quite subtle back in the mix. It's just going to sit on top of this FM bass. So yeah, it's not overpowering, it's not like disappearing, it's just there in the perfect volume, the perfect frequency range. Just to add that extra harmonics, that extra texture to the bass makes all the difference. So now if we play it from what we've had so far. So Another thing I want to do is I want to just turn up the release slightly in the sub bass, just like what we did with the first bass layer, just so we can get it a bit more sitting well, so it's not too choppy. I think that can go well. Just getting the volume levels right with this bass layer here, just so it's the perfect texture volume. So I think at the moment that is sounding good. I think I'm going to move on and add the M1 house piano here. So we're going to call this M1 house drop piano here. And of course, it's going to be the same as this. It's just going to be this melody, because obviously this FM bass melody is a different melody to the one in the breakdown. So clear all these four and add an M1 house piano. So this is obviously the M1 house piano. Showed it before, and nothing really special. First thing we do is turn off the hall preset, the hall reverb, and then go onto the master effects and turn off the ensemble reverb. The exciter can be left there, or it can be removed, or it can be tweaked for personal preference. We're just going to leave it for now. Just going to bring this up underneath, in between these two like that. And we're going to move this sub bass to the right, and then slot that in right there. Paste the MIDI in. So we're going to bring this down an octave, because these are going to be the bass notes. So usually I just hold control and click the note. It selects them all, rather than just dragging and doing all these separate ones like that. Just hold control, click the note, and it will select all of them. Hold shift, click on the note, and then hold shift again and use the arrow keys, and you can move the note. So we're going to bring this up an octave, duplicate it again, go to G sharp, there we go. Again, hold control, click G sharp, that copies that. So that's C sharp major. So this is the piano, the final result. It sounds like this. And it just loops again for another 4 bars. We're going to process this differently to the break M1 piano here, just because it requires not much low end, just because we have the low end covered. We just want the main mid range of the piano. Just going to make a low cut here like this. There we go. So for some reason the 1 kHz or around the 1300 range on the M1 house piano sounds a bit weird, so I'm just going to dip that just a tiny bit. And we're going to add an OTT just to spice it up a little bit. Turn it around to near on a 20% depth. We're going to copy and paste the FM main bass kickstart, so yeah. I need to do it on the second bass layer here as well, like that. And we're going to add a very small ping pong delay, 2-step ping pong. And then we're just going to add it in, get the volume levels right, and then see where we can go from there. So what I'm hearing near this B flat minor chord, I think we need to lower the C sharp down, just because it sounds a bit different to the original here. So let's try that. I think if we duplicate this B flat and lower it an octave as well. I think that is it. I think that's the one. So another thing I realised that PS1 adds is right here he has a simple 4-step crash. So on each beat a crash plays as a popular house thing up in my Deep House Essentials Volume 2. There we go, in crash 7 I have that. So we're just going to duplicate this. We're just going to do that like that and then turn it down. And it's also pound slightly to the right. So we're going to pound it about 50% to the right, turn it down. And I'm pretty sure this crash in general is panned to the right, so it's going to pan this slightly to the right, not too much, just around 20%. And then yeah, now it sounds like this. And halfway through the second 8 bars, he does a double kick, so we're just going to duplicate that and then do that. So the only other small details is at the end he takes out the last 4 kicks, as this reverse crash and crash fill again, and that is pretty much it. So I think the last thing we're going to do for this episode is add the breakdown piano. So there's a slightly different pattern again. It's just a small piano that fades out and filters out, and it just sits in the background along with this high string here. So this high string will sit like this. So that's just the high string, and then we need to make a new pattern for the M1 house piano. It does a new pattern, a new MIDI. So we're going to do that. We're going to use this rhythm chord one here, just because it's the same one as we used in the first break. Yeah, so we're going to make the new pattern and then end the episode there. So it took about 10 to 15 minutes to actually figure out these chords. It took a while, longer than expected, just because they were filtering out in the original song, so it's quite hard to hear each tonality of each chord, because it's not just simple triads. As you can see here, we've got a C on top of a C sharp major. It's not your traditional G sharp major, it's got the B flat on top of it. So yeah, it took a while, but we finally got there. So these are the chords. Yeah, so they are the chords. They fade out to enter the second breakdown. So yeah, they fade out after 4 bars. So yeah, it's going to make a. We're going to call these second break chords. Of course, we're using the same. If I can type, there we go. It took a while. Of course, we're using the same mixer track and the same preset as the original one. So all we need to do now is just go onto the mixer track here and just add a Fruity Love filter. Turn down the resonance. Turn this up. Right click. Create automation clip. And then yeah, so we're going to bring this whole thing down just so we can extend this automation clip the whole length of the song, and then this will filter down like that. Of course, I'm going to add a second EQ on top of this now, because when you do a cutoff filter, it usually makes it sound quite muddy and quite unpleasant to the ear. So it's going to make some small minor EQ adjustments. Right there, very, very disgusting. That's before and this is after. Just cleans it up just a little bit. And that is essentially the second breakdown. The vocals on top again, it's just a simple backing track, piano, high strings, some small percussions, and that's essentially it. But we're going to continue this second break in next episode, part 4, and we're going to leave it here. I'm just going to play through what I have so far, and then yeah, we'll end the video. So I hope you enjoy, and let's go. yeah, I'm going to continue this part in next episode. I also just turned down the mix level on the M1 house piano for the drop. It sounded a bit too aggressive on the sidechain. It just sounds a lot better in the drop now. But that is pretty much it. So I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button. Helps the channel grow and I really appreciate it. On Wednesday or Thursday, I have a new part of my W&W from start to finish. That series is almost finished as well. So if you have any new series suggestions, leave them in the comments below. I'd love to see them. Saw one of doing a progressive house from start to finish, which I'm intrigued about, which I might give it a go. But yeah, if you have any new series suggestions, leave them below and I really appreciate that. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed the video. Stay safe, produce music, and I'll speak to you all very, very soon. Take care.